Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Cover to Cover. This is a series where I go on the search to find the best independent bookshop in the UK, and today's search, well, I'm saying today's search, this episode's search, because I'm certainly not heading there today, otherwise I'm going to be a little bit late. This episode's search takes me very much further afield to Scotland, Edinburgh, to Golden Hare Books. I am so excited. I am heading up to Scotland at the time of filming this in 3 days' time. I am going to see Lauren from Fiction Tea, who is my bestie. We're heading to Edinburgh. I wanted to be able to film a cover to cover whilst I was out there because I know that Edinburgh has so many amazing bookshops, and I have picked Golden Hare Books. This bookshop has been around since 2012 and is run by self-confessed book addicts, which I am also a self-confessed book addict, if you didn't realise. I don't know what gave it away. This bookshop looks really lovely, both inside and out. It runs different events, it runs workshops, it has a reading group. I am so excited to visit. Of course, I will be picking up a book recommendation whilst I'm there, as recommended by one of the booksellers, and reading it in this vlog, and probably picking up many more books as well. This series is very kindly sponsored by National Book Tokens. National Book Token gift cards can be spent in bookshops across the UK and Ireland, from WH Smith to Waterstones. They can also be spent in hundreds of indies across the country as well, including Golden Hare Books. National Book Tokens have sent me through a very exciting package. This is a special edition National Book Tokens gift card. It comes in this luxury gift box, and are you ready for the inside? It looks so cool! This can be loaded with any value from £50 to £250, so it would make a really lovely gift. But it just looks very suave, very cool, very mindful, very demure. Of course, I am bringing this with me to Golden Hare Books. Thank you so much, National Book Tokens, for sponsoring this series. I will see you all in Scotland. First off, we have to acknowledge the magical blue and gold branding of Golden Hare Books. It just feels so magical. The blue and the gold together, it's like a fantasy film. I really loved this bookshop, obviously. I love every bookshop because they're bookshops. This is a gorgeous open space that leads from the front, where there's the non-fiction, the adult fiction in the middle, and then towards the back is a dedicated children's section, which is so cute and lovely. Golden Hare Books is pretty open plan. It's all on one floor, but you do have to access it via steps to get into the building. There was a really decent non-fiction section that had a really wide range of books at the front of the shop, and around the till you have extra items like National Book Token gift cards, stationery items, and the latest book club picks. I love a big table of books. It helps my overwhelmed brain know where to start, and the table in Golden Hare Books is huge. There are so many good picks in this bookshop, so many new releases scattered about not only on the centre table, but also on the front-facing shelves on the wall as well. It really helped to direct my selection. I find it a much nicer browsing experience when books are laid out like this. There was a really wide range of selection of books, both older and newer releases, and a really great range of genres and mediums, which was really great to see. There was a really cool graphic novel section as well. The vibes in this bookshop just felt so chill and welcoming. There were quite a few people coming in throughout the day whilst we were there filming, and you could just see how beloved by that community it was, by the people browsing and buying books and chatting to each other as they did so. It's just great to see indie bookshops thriving like they do, and this just, it felt like a really lovely space to be in. I also really loved the lighting, the cozy, warm vibe that this lighting is giving off. In a minute you're going to see the children's section, which has some neon crayon lights, which I desperately feel I need to own. They were very cool. I liked the vibe they were giving off very much. I do love to put the booksellers in this series on the spot when I ask for recommendations, and Polly did a great job of pulling me loads off of the shelf to browse. One of my favourite things about indies is how passionate the owners and the booksellers are about their shop and the books they recommend. You can tell always that there is a real passion for reading. Look, you're gonna get to see the crayon lights. They're so cool. Look at them. I love neon lighting, and these, they're very pleasing. I mean, seriously, look how cool they are. Golden Hare Books was a pure delight. It was a fantastic browsing and book shopping experience, and a must-visit bookshop if you're ever in Edinburgh. Hello, do you want to know what's funny? I filmed the clips that you just watched about 2 weeks ago, and I can't actually remember what books I'm about to haul for you because in between that time I was obviously in Scotland, so I continued my trip in Scotland, came back home, and then went on a road trip around Eastern Europe, came back home, then went back to see my family, and now I'm just back now. We're doing the haul, so I actually can't remember what I bought in Golden Hare Books. Not because I'm not excited about the books or anything like that, but just because so much has happened in between then and now, and I have kept them in the tote bag they gave me. So this is going to be as much of a surprise to me as it is to you. It was an absolutely lovely bookshop though, and I really enjoyed being able to go a little bit further afield for this episode. So let's do a haul. I remember the cover of the one that I'm going to be reading in this vlog, so I remember that much. But the rest is a mystery. Okay, first up, we have got Emily Noble's Disgrace by Mary Paulson Ellis. On the front of it says, "Not every house is a home." This is the cover. Let's read the blurb together. The case is unexceptional, that is what I know. A house full of stuff left behind by a dead woman, abandoned at the last. Essie Pound's job is to clean up after people who have nobody else, and in Edinburgh there's no shortage of neglect. So when an old woman dies in a derelict boarding house, it's business as usual for Essie. But a gruesome discovery amidst the hordes of possessions means this job is unlike any she's done before. Emily Noble, a local police officer, is determined to burnish her reputation by solving the case. But the truth about the boarding house is buried far deeper in the past than even she or Essie could have imagined, and it isn't long before before fragmented memories of their own traumatic histories are rising to the surface. Okay, so this was the bookseller recommendation in Golden Hare Books. This much I do remember, and I remember being intrigued by the cover and the concept. I like the fact that this is set in Edinburgh, obviously buying the book in Edinburgh, so this is book 1. Feels like I'm doing a lucky dip for book 2. Oh yes, okay. Book 2 is Think Again by Jacqueline Wilson. I am so excited about this one. The idea that Jacqueline Wilson has written a book following on from characters she wrote years and years ago that I read about as a child is so exciting to me. Can I remember the original story? No, but I'm very excited to be rejoining characters that I know childhood Beth enjoyed. If you're thinking, what are you going on about? This is following the characters from the Girls series, which I think was a trilogy that Jacqueline Wilson wrote. I don't know when they were written, but like I read a lot of Jacqueline Wilson as a child, and just I always loved the honesty that Jacqueline Wilson wrote about, and also the fact that she wrote about real things. Like, I have divorced parents, and being able to see that reflected in her writing, it felt refreshing really to be able to see something that wasn't just like cookie cutter. So this is following those 3 characters from that series as adults, which I just love the concept so much. Adulthood isn't quite what Ellie Allard dreamed it would be when she was 14 years old. Though she's got her beautiful daughter Lottie, her trusty cat Stella, and lifelong best friends in Magda and Nadine, her love life is non-existent and she feels like she's been living on autopilot, just grateful to be able to afford the rent on her pokey little flat. But this year on her birthday, it seems it's time for all that to change. Whether Ellie wants it to or not, as she navigates new, exciting and often choppy waters, she's about to discover that life will never stop surprising you, if only you let it. I'm just so excited to have an adult Jacqueline Wilson based on the stories of my childhood. So I got this one. How could I forget I got that one? And the final book, I think, yes, the final book in the Lucky Dip is Sylvia Moreno Garcia's The Seventh Veil of Salome. I swear, Sylvia Moreno Garcia has like a magic hand. There is a new Sylvia Moreno Garcia book out constantly. So here's another one. I remember picking this one up because it definitely gave off Evelyn Hugo kind of vibes. Taylor Jenkins Reid's even blurbed it on the back saying, "Whenever I want to read a book I know will be good, I go to Sylvia Moreno Garcia. You never know what she's going to do, but you know it will be a page turner." So let's refresh my memory. Golden Age Hollywood, a city overflowing with gossip, scandal and intrigue. Every actress wants to play Salome, the star-making role in a big-budget movie about the legendary temptress. So in the film's mercurial director casts Vera Larios, an unknown Mexican ingenue, in the lead role. She quickly becomes the talk of the town. Vera also becomes an object of envy for Nancy Hartley, a bit player whose career has stalled and who will do anything to win the fame she believes she richly deserves. As Vera navigates the glitz and the gilded glamour of the new city, Nancy follows silently behind, trying to take everything she believes Vera has been unfairly handed. But this is the tale of 3 women, for it is also the story of Princess Salome herself, consumed with a desire for the fiery prophet who foretells the doom of her stepfather. Salome is a woman torn between the decree of duty and the yearning of her heart, and tragedy is waiting in the wings for all three women. I just think that sounds great. I love Sylvia Moreno Garcia's writing style so much. So these are the 3 books that I bought. This is the one that I'm going to be reading in this vlog. I will let you know my thoughts when I finished it. A few hundred pages later. I have finished Emily Noble's Disgrace. I have kind of mixed feelings on this one. I think I liked the idea of the story and the fact that we had this strange mystery that was weaving throughout multiple people's own stories and own pasts, and we were getting to slowly unpick more information about their past to give us context for the future. I like it when books do that. And I like it when you get those kind of moments of like, oh my god, that's who that is, and that's how that happened. I love those kind of revelation moments. But I think for me, maybe the execution of this doing that just didn't work, unfortunately. I didn't mind it as a writing style and as a book. I think I'm gonna sit on about 3 out of 5 stars, but I felt it was very confusing. It kind of jumped in loads of different directions. There were so many characters that I was finding myself a little bit overwhelmed with who was who we were meant to be following, who had like what role in the present timeline and what role in the past, and it just became a little bit too much, and there were too many people and too many sub-stories to focus on to lead towards what the main one was, to the point where I kind of found myself like forgetting the point of the main story. So yeah, kind of mixed thoughts on it for that reason. Something I really hated that the author chose to do was be incredibly fatphobic about one of their characters and constantly mention their weight for no reason. Just kept mentioning it, and it was just to a point where I'm like, why do you keep doing this? It felt like the author was bullying their own character, and I don't really feel like that was the intention behind it, so I didn't really love that that was in there. I just didn't see the purpose of that, and it just kind of made me feel irritated every single time it was mentioned. I enjoyed that this had the Edinburgh setting. Obviously, having bought this in Edinburgh, it was nice to read something that was local to this episode of Cover to Cover, so I like that side of it. I think that maybe this one just wasn't for me. I know that a lot of people have loved this. There's a lot of obviously glowing reviews on it. I mean, you're not going to put bad reviews on the cover of a book, but a lot of people have clearly loved this. I think maybe it just wasn't for me because it just was meh. I did enjoy it. I liked the mystery. I liked that element of it all weaving together, and there was a couple of moments where I was like, oh. But I think overall, I just didn't really feel quite like I was in it, and I felt very distracted by the book itself for the story. That is it for this episode of Cover to Cover. Thank you so much, Golden Hare Books, for having me. Thank you, National Book Tokens, for sponsoring this series, and thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.